Hi, I'm Nick and this is the TBT channel. Welcome friends to a very important video for me today, because it is about this gun here in front of me, the Luger P08. What can we say about this? It's Genesis. It is the first mass-made 9mm parabellum handgun ever made. I believe the 9mm was first developed by the DWM company in 1902, and then the P09 or P09 was the gun that it was designed for. That's what came of this. Now you'll notice I've got a light here. Normally that's over there and it's helping with lighting, but I've got this one here today so I can shine it in your eyes. And do you feel talk? No, we're not going to do any of that. That is to help me, because we're going to be doing some close-ups and looking at this gun. What I'm thinking, as you know, if you've watched any of my videos, I don't really plan these. I have a kind of rough idea of what I want to do, but that's about it. I'm thinking I want to do some close-ups of these. So what I'm probably going to be doing is this video, and then I'm going to be going back and doing close-ups and then editing with magic, editing, I can't even say it, let alone do it, editing them in afterwards, so you can see close-ups of details that I'm talking about, because I want you to see the detail on this gun. I want you to understand how I feel about this. I'm struggling to put this into words, but I'm going to crack on regardless. So I got this yesterday in my world. Okay, I don't know when this video is going to be approved by YouTube to go on air, so I don't know when you're going to see it, but yesterday I've had this gun for less than 24 hours. In that time I've been doing a lot of research, and I've had a lot of help from people on the UK AGF forum, Paul and Rickard, my mate Rickard, and there's the Sarge, who's not so much help but incredibly excited about seeing this gun because he wants one, and others as well, Zog and possibly Sandero. If I've missed anybody, I'm sorry, but they've been really helpful with helping me do some research on this gun, because although I've wanted one since a very early age, since a child I've wanted a Luger for various reasons, this is the first one I've had. Believe it or not, it's taken me till 54 years old to own a Luger. What kind of crazy world do we live in? The reason I wanted one, I suppose, is I was born in the early 70s, 71. I don't mind saying. At the time, what's his name? Sven Hassel, Clive Hassel? The Nazi, proper Nazi books and Nazi commando comics and things like that. They were all still the rage. It was only 26 years after the end of the war. So if you think back to 26 years ago from today, we're talking 1999. And for people of my age, that's like yesterday. I've got pants that are older than that, you know? So in the 70s, the war, that wasn't that long ago, and it was still talked about. You know, we used to play war as kids. We used to read war magazines, war comics, war books, and the Luger was part and parcel of my childhood. The thought of it, not the actual gun. Wasn't given one as a standard issue at primary school. Maybe we should have done. I grew up in Burnham on Crouch in Essex, very rural. We didn't need guns. Anyway, so I got this yesterday from the gun shop. I brought it home. It was a very long drive home, I have to say. I live in rural France, so obviously it took a very long time to drive home, because every village that I drove through had to either collaborate or surrender, which was a bit of a pain, but it was okay. I haven't fired it. I'm not going to be firing it till probably next week. God knows when you'll see that, but next week in my world, in my time frame, is when I'm going to be shooting it. Hang on, did that the wrong way around, didn't I? I'm still getting used to it. It's very strange controls. When you're used to a modern 9mm automatic, this is all very strange to show that safe and empty. I've not even chambered anything into it yet. So the Luger, the P08, they started making it in I want to say 1908. Did they? Is that why it's called the 08? Do you know what? My brain's a bit fried with all the information that I've been reading, and half of it I'm sure is wrong. If, when I get any of this wrong, feel free to correct me underneath. I don't mind. I won't take offence. I'm here to learn from you. One of the reasons I'm doing this video is I want to know more. And I'm damn sure hundreds of you watching this know more about this gun than I do. So please, please feel free to correct me or add in extra information that I don't know. So the gun itself, sorry about that, my phone rang. I'll put it on silent now. This gun is stamped as being from 1907. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. 1917. Sorry, I'm going to actually put my glasses on now, because it helps. 1917 on the top. In fact, tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a play and see if I can bring it into close focus now so that I can show you everything I'm talking about on this gun. We'll give it a go. It can only go horribly wrong, that's all. Bear with. Okay, now look, we're trying this. It feels more awkward than an awkward thing, but I've got the camera between me and the gun, so I can't see the gun, only the camera, and I've got a light blocking anything else I can see. But we're going to try and show you what I'm talking about. Put my glasses on so I can see my camera. Now you can see there we've got the, where are we, where's my gun? Whoop. The serial number here, okay, and the last two digits on the serial number are stamped onto various pieces around the gun, okay, and everything on this gun matches apart from the magazine, and the magazine is a Bakelite bottomed World War II issue, whereas this one, as you can see here, is stamped 1917 here and 1920 above it. Now what this means is this gun was made in 1917, before the First World War, and if you know your history you'll know the Germans lost that particular war. And in 1920, after the Treaty of Versailles, which meant that all the Germans, because they've been very, very naughty, they had to give back all of their long barreled guns and have the barrels shortened if they wanted to keep them. This was, I think it was the Weimar Agreement. No, it's Treaty of Versailles, but these were Weimar guns. So it's re-stamped there with 1920, which shows that it's a Weimar gun. That meant, because all of the guns that are in circulation had to be accounted for, checked, stamped, have the barrels changed where necessary. If it didn't have the 1920 stamp, it was an illegal gun in Germany. Now, a further clue we have here is this notch. Okay, that notch there tells us that this was originally an artillery model, and it had an 8-inch all the way out there barrel on it, and the 8-inch artillery models had a sight mounted on the barrel there, so they needed that notch out the top of the receiver so that the sight could sit there. So that tells us immediately that that is an artillery model that in 1920, under the, I think it's the Weimar scheme, was converted to a 4-inch because they weren't allowed any pistols with more than 4 inches. Also, we know from here, now this is mainly thanks to a couple of videos I've watched that Paul supplied to me, but here, that's difficult with the camera in the way. That little pin there, that is a safety device that was only fitted to guns that after the First World War went into circulation as police guns. So after the First World War, this was reissued to the police in Germany between the wars. And the reason it had that pin there was, how can we put this? Being intelligent has never been a requirement of being a policeman, okay? And it was possible, without this extra safety that they fitted for the police, it was possible to take the gun apart with the gun still chambered and fire it off and shoot yourself or the policeman next to you. It wasn't a problem in the army because they've been trained to use guns, but the police were, well, the police, so they had to be fitted with that. So we know between the wars it was in the police. On top there we can see the DWM mark, which shows us that it's a DWM gun. And on the other side, if I can get that on the light, you see various stampings and proof marks there. Now, I bought this, as I say, in France. We know it was a First World War gun because it was made in 1917. We know it was an artillery gun because of the cutout on the front of the receiver there. And we know that in 1920, to comply with the Treaty of Versailles, it was rebarreled to 4 inches, and then we know that it was in the police between the wars. The thing is, when Second World War started, the Germans were very, very short on arms. So all of the guns that were around from them then, it is likely that they continued in use in the Second World War. But this one never made it back to Germany, because it appears, I could be wrong, again correct me if I'm wrong, but it appears that the ones that got back to Germany were then re-stamped on the pistol grip here to show where they went, because many went to East Germany and became police guns again, and any that were in West Germany and went into civilian life had to be reproofed, and they have a proof mark here. I think that was in the 90s they needed to be reproofed. So there is no sign that this ever made it back to Germany. So it could have come here to France with a German and never made it home for whatever reason. And historically, that is interesting. I mean, the gun itself is 108 years old, which is quite a thing in and of itself. So here it is, a 108-year-old German sidearm that saw military service, quite possibly in both world wars, and police service in between. Bearing all of that in mind, it's amazing that everything matches. All of the the markings, the numbers, the serial numbers match on everything except for the magazine, which has got a Second World War Bakelite bottomed magazine. It is remarkable because of its age and because the grips were fragile. It's very likely these aren't the original grips that came with the gun, but other than that, it is spectacular. So I'm not going to shoot it today, because I haven't got the opportunity to at the moment. So I'm just showing you this, and I think what I ought to do now is take it apart, because I tend to do that with most things anyway. Now, here's the thing. This is my first Luger. I know nothing really about Lugers. What I've learned, what I've talked about in this video, if it's correct, I've only learnt it in the last day. You know, this is the thing. Any of it could have been wrong, but I've only learnt it in the last day. So I've watched a YouTube video. There's this fantastic thing called YouTube. Don't know if you've seen it, but I watched a YouTube video, and I watched a fella taking it apart about 20 minutes ago. I watched it once and thought, oh, I'll give it a go. What's the worst that can happen? But it's supposed to be field stripped. They need cleaning. They need regular maintenance, like a Springer. They need to be taken apart regularly anyway. So it shouldn't be that difficult. So the first thing we need to do is we make sure the gun is empty and safe, like that. Then we need to put some pressure onto the barrel. That moves backwards. See that move backwards? That's the recoil. Okay, that's the recoil spring. That's how it reloads, like that. So if we push that backwards, there's a small toggle here. So if I push that down, let's see if I can do it with my other arm. Push that down and move that toggle down like that. Okay, that has released the part holding this in. Now this cover plate should now lift out easily and go there. And if the video was correct, the barrel should now, look at that, pull off the top of the gun. And that's it, it's in 2 pieces. What do we have? We have the grip there. I'll put that to one side, and this is exciting. This is exciting for me as it is for you. The toggle on the top here, okay, this part, which is the actual reloading part, on a more modern 9mm, the whole slide moves backwards and the shell ejects from the side. With this one, the toggle here goes back and the shell ejects upwards. which should be fun when I come to fire it. But that toggle is removable with this toggle pin, and it should push out like that by hand. Oh, and it has. That's nice. And then the toggle pulls out from the rear. So there is our barrel. Let me just have a look down the bore. It's a very nice clean bore. Very nice and clean indeed. I am so looking forward to shooting this. Really, I'm excited. I'm properly excited about this. I hope you are. I hope you are too. I hope it's not just me, but it could be. There's going to come a point, and I know this. It's a sad thing, but there's going to come a point with YouTube when it's just me, and I'm talking to a camera, and nobody else bothers to watch anymore. Sad but true. Now, I've got my toggle off, and inside of here I have my firing pin. My firing pin is held in by this bit here, and there's a spring, and then there's the firing pin. The video I watched, it had a fluted firing pin from the Second World War. I don't know if this has got a fluted one or not. If it's been replaced over the years, which, let's face it, firing pin it may have done, it may be the fluted one. So it's exciting to find out. But the guy I watched who did it on YouTube, he had a Luger tool. I don't have a Luger tool. I only have a screwdriver. So I'm a bit sad about that. But what we do is we get our, in this case, my favourite screwdriver, because I wanted to share this occasion with him, or her, or it, or they. No, don't. So what we have here, I'm not going to bother with a close-up of this, because if you know, you know. If you don't know, you probably don't need to. But this part here has got a groove in it for a screwdriver or your Luger tool. I want a Luger tool now. I'm desperate for a Luger tool. I'm going to be on eBay later. Or other auction sites are available. And what we do is push down on that and then turn it a quarter turn and then let it up. Now this is the only potential ping fuck it in the entire gun because it's a spring. But we put that aside safely there. Do you know what? I've only forgotten my magnetic tray again. Oh, I've let you down. I've let me down. But most of all, I've let the gun down. I've got the spring out. I think, from memory, if I turn this upside down, my firing pin should come out. Oh, look at that. It's a fluted one. There you go. So that, you see those scallops out the sides around there? That's a fluted firing pin. That means this firing pin was replaced during or after the Second World War, and it could well have been when it was recommissioned for the war, because, you know, we're going to have a bit of a battle, boys. Make sure your guns are working. Let's put some new bits in them. Policeman, you over it. No, don't dribble on your pistol. Now bring it over here. Wipe that off it. You know what they're like. You know what they're like. I'm only saying that because my friend's a policeman and he might be watching this. Now, we're going to put it back together. I'm going to try and put it back together. First of all, we get our firing pin. It goes in there. It'll only go in one way because there's a little bit there and there's a little bit there that it goes into. So that's there and that's lovely. Then we get our spring and our spring retaining doodah. Now, that was supposed to be vertical, so I need to push that in one way and it'll turn. Which way is it that it goes? It is, I see now. I've got a small lug there. Glasses. Should have done that, shouldn't I? Should have done that first. Let me just check. The small lug goes into there with that in that position, and then it turns around clockwise. So small lug to this side, thusly, downward, and then turn 90 degrees into the vertical position, and that is back where it's supposed to be. Oh, and that doesn't move now. That's good. That, I'm assuming that's good. Is that good? Is that good? Oh, I don't know. And when that goes back, that does that. That does that. Anyway, now somehow I should have looked to see how that came out of there, shouldn't I? That goes, oh no, that goes into there. That's quite straightforward. That goes into there all the way up like that and then clips down. And I've got this bit here which is all lined up lovely. It's just perfect anyway, so that should just slide straight into very precise German engineering. And then this is a clever bit. stay. To get this right, because it's got to go into a certain place on there, I think they held it upside down like that and then turned it up the right way, and that goes into there like that. And then I get my locking plate. Oh, this is going to be the exciting bit. Is this going to work? My locking plate into there, push that down a little bit. Push that down a little bit. And he clicks into place. You will click into place! No, we don't do that. That's not appropriate. Very obviously done something. Well, no, there we go. Like that, like that. That goes up like that. Up. And if we put the magazine in, when I cock it, because there's nothing in there, it should lock into position like that. Take that out. Bang. That's it. It's a thing of beauty. It's a thing of history. It is part of modern history. There's no doubt in it. I'm so excited and I'm so privileged to own it, and I want to know more about it, and I'm hoping that some of you watching this now will know more. I know you know more than I do. That isn't what I'm saying. I know you know more than I do. I'm hoping that you'll be able to help me to find out extra things about this particular gun or this particular type and this particular artillery piece and blah blah blah, and how I can find out more. In the meantime, like, subscribe, hit notifications. That way you'll see when I do take it down the range and start firing it. Thank you all so much for watching and sharing this with me. Goodbye.